Hey, we are back on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I am so excited to be joined by Miryam Del Angel, who is, well, there's many titles that indeed can be used, but today we're going to talk about her being a Chicago-based HR professional who launched her new book, Latinas in Corporate. Miryam, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business background.
Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here. Again, my name is Miryam Del Angel. I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I've been in HR for about over 20 years, all mostly in a financial services area. I'm currently working at Grant Thornton as a people community leader, basically an HR leader, supporting various internal functions. I'm a mom of 3 amazing teenagers. And as you mentioned, I'm author of the new book, Latinas in Corporate, Overcoming Cultural Obstacles While Juggling a Career and a Family. And I'm also co-author in another book, Latinas Rising Up in HR, Volume 1, where we showcase various women, including myself, on our journey into HR.
Awesome. Fantastic. So I am really, really curious. What prompted you to create this book? I know because I've read the book. It's a lot of work. So what was going on that made this happen?
Well, since, as I mentioned, I've been in HR for a long time. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the very ugly, right? And a lot of conversations I've had with women in general, and then specifically Latina, and just sharing their stories and the challenges that they face in that corporate world. It's a little better now, but 20 years ago, just coming into it and being Latina myself and experiencing certain ways of, climbing that ladder, that I said, there's a story to tell. And I continually speak to women weekly who come to me and say, hey, this happened to me. And they're shocked to hear that it's very common. So I thought, I need to share this story. I need women, especially Latinas, to feel heard and for them to know that they're not alone and that there's some resources and tools out there that we can help each other grow in the career ladder.
Awesome. Well, you certainly have captured a lot of folks' attention. The book, again, Latinas in Corporate, is it tells the fictional but realistic stories of 3 women. I'm
Correct.
curious, why did you choose that structure and putting the book in this way? And tell us a little bit about the process.
Right. So, in books, I did put data in there because I think data is very important to tell a story. And I did interview real women anonymously because I did want them to feel comfortable, especially if they're still working in that organization. I didn't want to get them in trouble, per se. And then I give resources and tools. But the idea of the 3 fictional characters was more of making a little bit more fun to it and more realistic, right? Telling a story of individual. I decided to do the first character is a Colombian out of Miami, but younger in her career ladder. The second character is Mexican and from Chicago, married with kids, mid-career level. And then the last person is from Puerto Rico, but in New York, about to retire and divorced, right? So I wanted to capture 3 different levels of careers where Latinas face different challenges within family, within even health, and then in relationships. So I thought I'd make it fun so that it could be relatable to women out there.
Awesome. Fantastic. And I'm chatting with Miryam Del Angel, who has written Latinas in Corporate. It really is it's a great style in how you've shared so much, the fictional but realistic stories of 3 women. So let's talk about, of course, your personal background, your professional background, I should say. You talked about, obviously, what you are doing in the corporate world. So you are a living embodiment of this. But I'm curious, you have a great front row seat. What are the issues that Latinas in the corporate world are facing today? And what do you think are the remedies?
Right. So, for instance, there's data showing that for every dollar a white non-Latino man makes in corporate America, their Latina coworker makes a mere 54 cents. In addition to being underpaid and underrepresented as a woman in the industry, Latina often, has different challenges as well. I'm going to quote a little bit more data because I think that's so important for people to understand. At the current rate of progress, it will take 29 years for the average U.S. company and 238 years of Latin American firms to reach gender parity on their executive team. There's only been 2 Latinas who have been CEO of a Fortune 500 500 company. So there's just so many challenges for us to get to that level. And I think a lot of it has to do with ourselves as well as that confidence. So one of the things that I talk about in my book is confidence. I also talk about mental health. I talk about networking because, unfortunately, we're in this culture, the Latino culture, where we say, calladita te ves más bonita, which means the quieter you are, the prettier you are, right? So we're trying to break that stereotype of that we need to speak up. We need to advocate for ourselves. And we can't just sit and put our heads down and do work hoping that someone will tap us in the shoulder. Unfortunately, that's not how corporate America works. And as I've been meeting these women and interviewing them, that's what they think. They're like down and hoping that someone, unfortunately, no. So we need to have better numbers and better data for women to get to those executive levels.
Absolutely. Again, I'm chatting with Chicago author, human resources professional. That is Miryam Del Angel, who has launched Latinas in Corporate. It's a book that presents stories examining real life challenges of Latino women in the corporate world. So, Miryam, I have to ask you, you certainly, one of your titles, there are many, is human resources professional. What is it that drew you into this very, very unique field?
I'm a people person. I love helping people. And I think I started off in college. I was a resident advisor. And I don't know if you know what a resident advisor is. It's basically HR on campus, right? Because you have to do the policy, the rules, create programming for your students and things like that. So I kind of fell into it when I was at the University of Illinois at Chicago. But unfortunately, they didn't have that type of career field at that university. So I met with the counselor and said, you know what? I think you'd be great at HR. And I was like, what is HR? He's like, you're in such a, in customer service, you like to help people. So I ended up transferring to Northeastern Illinois University, who had at the time, 20 plus years ago, an HR program under their education program. And I just went there and fell in love with it and just have grown from there. There's so many types of things you can do in HR, from recruiting to diversity, to comp, to strategy, and just having a little bit of all as an HR business partner most of my career. It's never a dull day, as you can imagine. It's like every day is something new, good or bad, but I enjoyed the challenge and helping people.
And now through your book, you're certainly inspiring so many more in the future generation coming in future, hopefully, HR professionals and future Latinas in corporate. So that's a great segue as we start to come to the conclusion of our conversation. What are you hoping that readers will take away from this fantastic read?
Well, I'm hoping that they feel heard, most importantly, that they feel heard, that they feel that they're not alone, and that they feel that there are other women out there that are going through it, Latina or not, just all women in general, that, we all face similar themes, just maybe a little bit different. And that it's important that we talk about it, right? We have to break the stigma where we kind of don't trust anybody, and we need to help each other. It's funny because the last sentence in my book is be the Latina that helps other Latinas, because I think we need to help each other to grow, and not only professionally, but personally. We all have a story, female or male, we all have a story. And I really want readers to feel connected to one of the characters, and to know that there is help out there if they need it.
Awesome. Fantastic. So this is probably a really, really hard question to ask right now. And it's I know how much goes into writing a book, but do you have plans to write another one?
I've been thinking about it. I think the first thing I want to do is go on a book tour, but more importantly, in that book tour, not just going, with the book and sign the book, but having panels of Latinas in corporate and kind of share their stories. So kind of build a community. And then based on that, maybe book 2 will come. I'll hear more stories.
That's exciting. Well, you certainly have a lot to share in the book, and I hope everybody can get their hands on it. Purchase a copy for a friend. Hey, it's a great gift as well. Miryam, how can we get in touch with you, and how can we find a copy of Latinas in Corporate?
Right. So Latinas in Corporate is being sold currently on Amazon and also online at Walmart.com and Barnes & Nobles. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Miryam Del Angel, or on Instagram, Miryam HR Latina. And I'm also on Facebook, Miryam Del Angel.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing your passion, your expertise with our listeners. We really appreciate it, and I hope everybody indeed will pick up a copy of this fantastic book. We've got to cut to a very quick break with some headlines, commercials in just a moment. But in the meantime, be sure to check out our sponsors, Tom Mirabali from healthplanchicago.com, healthplanchicago.com, or give them a call, 630-863-3477 for all of your health insurance and Affordable Care Act questions. Tom Mirabali, 630-863-3477. Again, a quick break. More small business jobs and entrepreneurship when we return in just a minute.
Thank you.